Sorry, guys. For some reason I was on mute. Good day, guys. Nathaniel Evans, host of I'm the Data, the podcast, deal with leadership and inner development. Please, guys, subscribe to my page, subscribe to my podcast, help me build the algorithms up, and I can continue to bring this great information to y'all and connect with great leaders that's out here. I'm looking forward to great guests in the future, and a lot of my guests is out there. So today, I just wanted to connect with y'all and basically show y'all about different things that we're dealing with out here, and particularly as men, and it's definitely a new time for us. We're definitely going through some new changes, and some new realities is actually taking place for us throughout the land. So this topic, for King, now get back up King, is something that I believe is essential for us as men to understand that the fall is not what they have prescribed the fall to be, right? Many people have taken the fall and has made it a space where men, feels despised, you know what I'm saying? That within himself that he has fallen, right? That, the fall has somehow diminished his true qualities and his true purpose for life, right? And that the fall is basically greater than who that person is, right? And we really have to start seeing that we are not basically connected to all our falls in the way that has actually been described to us. The fall has been used as a way for us to basically, not succeed in what we're trying to do, right? It's a space of discouragement, a space of hopelessness, a space of loss. And it's not supposed to be. When we going through different studies, we studying about different men or different women that actually, lived before us. If we studying basketball, football, any type of sport, if we're studying how to drive a car and things of that nature, even if we're basically, trying to analyze how to save and how to budget, all these things are associated to the fall. Without the fall, there will be no improvement on who we are and what we are and in what direction we can actually become in our lives. Without the fall, there would be no psychoanalyzing, right? There would be no need for emotional intelligence. There'd be no need for spiritual awareness, right? Or striving for spiritual awareness or greatness, or to even strive to be a leader. There would be no reason for those things because the fall is taken out the equation. And when a fall is put into the equation for men, even though man knows that he has to fall to improve, he knows this. He knows this. He knows that there are certain things that has to be taken out of his life for him to increase. He knows that he has to remove certain things out of his life for him to increase. He knows that he may have to go through certain circumstances that he never even imagined for him to increase. However, nobody wants to go through an increase. Nobody wants to go through the fall to actually come back on top. And it's because it's like, we feel basically in a way disgusted with ourselves. We feel just disappointed that we took such a fall, and that we lost hope, we lost faith, the things that we used to value or the value systems that was placed in us, from our guardians and things of that nature, that actually lost their luster. And now we're in a space, of trying to get back, in a space of trying to reconnect with a purpose of us that didn't connect in the way we wanted it to. And because of this, we actually feel like we in muddy waters, and we feel like we can't come out on top. And I keep saying the word feel because I want you to understand that it's only a feeling. I want you to understand that the fall is a feeling. the concept of the fall of a feeling is a feeling as well. And to understand that it's a feeling and associate it as a feeling allows you to remove it away from you as a permanency for your life. Because you have fell or fallen or even will fall or even see yourself, actually toppling, I'm saying, in a moment, grabs the things that holds you together. Grabs that one thing that holds you together, the one thing that gives you purpose, that gives you meaning. And that one thing is you. Is your being. Right? Is all these things that we have fallen from are all the things that we have accumulated, all the things that we have manifest, all the things that we have visualized, right? And now these visionary things and all these things that we have accumulated are no longer stand the test of time. The test of time basically has dried them out. And now, instead of feeling a space of hopelessness, it has to be a space of encouragement. It has to be a space of hope, a space of faith. Right? Even with this shirt I got on, Closed Rockets, right? This concept right here is not just a principle, right? It's a true reality that many men and women have faced in this country, particularly United States, New York City. And many people are in a space of hopelessness. Many people are in a space of despair, of great loss, even of, in some of the rallies I've been to, some men committed suicide because they wasn't able to handle, this reality that actually took place in their lives that they never foresaw. And this is where fate comes in at. Fate is that energy that allows you to move through things that you could never imagine. It's that energy that gives you inspiration within yourself when no one else is there to give it to you. Fate is that purpose that is here to lock you in and to ensure that you not lose your footing to the point where you believe that life is no longer worth living because you did not, when you cannot go through the changes of your life. Maya, I knew her for a long time. You can't have a testimony without the test. And Maya's right. Maya has been through so many tests. And good afternoon to you, Maya. And I was seeing her come out on top of those tests. I see her have strive to bring a new life, to her life, in regards to what, in the space I've met her in, it was a dark space, but she has so much light in her that you couldn't see that dark space in her. And this is the same thing I'm talking about if you're going into rackets, if you're experiencing divorce, if you lost all your money in the stock market, whatever it may be, understand that your fate is what's going to allow you to withstand those things. It's going to allow you to come out on top. And also it's going to allow you to find a new meaning for who you are. Right? There's a purpose for who you are. I want Maya to come on the show if she wants to. I'm going to send her the link. There's no... All right. So we're moving now in a time where fate is a big word, right? Fate is huge, right? Fate is capitalized. We need this. And all the things that we're doing, we need to have faith in ourselves. If we have a higher power, we need to have faith in that. If we have loved ones, we also need to have faith in them. and not look at things on a small scale, but look at things on a grandiose scale. Like, how are we able to reframe our lives? Right? I was looking at a couple of concepts the other day, and it was talking about retrospection, introspection, and then it was talking about prospection. And these concepts was actually showing the different elements that we can take as people to analyze ourselves, to psychoanalyze who we are, rip ourselves apart, and then put ourselves right back together. Like, this is a beautiful thing that we are able, to conceptualize our true being, conceptualize our lives, conceptualize our past, our present moment, even try to predict things into our future. Right? This is amazing that we're able to, as people, to conceptualize this and actually create a plan of action, create a blueprint, right? That will allow us to redirect ourselves and re-guide ourselves into new spaces and new directions. And we always have this. This is an element of us that is always with us. It's never going anywhere. We meet people on the land, and I always say this: we meet people on the land, and they do not empower us. They do not increase us. Then they're not for our empowerment. They're not for our increase. It's just that simple. Through us, we're able to overcome many challenges. We're able to reframe the concepts of life on so many different levels. Some people are spiritual people that once was religious people. Some people are religious people that was once spiritual people. We're always transitioning. There's always our opposite balance, right? When we look into the world, we're looking at right and wrong. There's a balance for all these different things. Life cannot exist without the balance. So, as people, we need to understand that as we move through life, we create in life, right? And I just sent it. So, as we move through life, we actually channel new things for our lives. And it's one of the things that we see that is that we see a lot of great creations in the world, a lot of great monuments, buildings, airplanes, we see cars, we see the creation of new digital currencies and things taking place. We've actually experienced a pandemic where people was actually was able to come together in faith and actually bring and save lives, transport medication, masks, hand sanitizers, volunteerism, whatever it is, came together in faith to save many lives. And as we look to save the lives of others through our mechanism of faith, through our currency of faith, it's understood that now that we have been able to actually harness this faith and use this faith on the external, that now we have the power to use this same faith on the internal. Without this faith and without this internal drive, the currency, the true energy of our lives will never come to its full fruition. We will always be staggering in the dark and trying to find our place, grappling, in the world to get a hold of what it is to be alive, to what it is to be you, right? To find a purpose within something that's out there where there is no purpose and no thing that's out there. You can get $1 billion. There is no purpose in those things. You may spend those things in a collective, but those things are actually one individual component at a time. So we live in a time where without faith, who we are and what we are and what we want to become, we will not be able to transition past some of the strongholds that's in the world that's actually designed in a way to topple us, to actually cause us to fall flat on our face, to challenge our normacy, challenge our purpose. Every day, the testament of life is before us. People say that their lives are perfect, right? But every day, life is transitioning. Life is forever moving. It has its own entity. It has its own vibration. It has nothing to do with you in the sense that you control it. In the sense that you're controlled by the entities in life. We're influenced by strangers, by radios, by the TV, right? By social media. People are able to coerce us to do things that we never thought we was able to do in the name of love, right? In the name of pleasure, in the name of intimacy, things of that nature. And we wind up a lot of times coming outside of who we are to be what the world wants us to be for them, right? Let's fit into the world so we can accumulate all the things that the world has to give us, right? And then when it's all said and done, let's say, 20 years later, 10 years later, you have lost your whole identity for these things. Now it's no more fun and games. No one's laughing, no one's joking. Everything is serious now because the consequence of actually sacrificing yourself for things in particular, when you look at it, does not add up. So I'm trying to see if I can get mine on here. And I don't see, I sent the link a couple of times. I'll send it one more time. So I was just saying, we're always in connection to who we are through the things that we're doing. And we find a lot of the pleasure into the things that we're doing. And we connect ourselves to many of the things that we're doing. We identify ourselves with many labels. We associate ourselves to many labels as well. And it's by faith that all those things that we associate ourselves to, by and large, were created by other people who have faith in creating those things. And it's just, is you have to be very cautious on how you get to move in your life. And Maya, I put the link right there. I sent a couple of times. I don't know what's going on. And I just want to know, as we move through life, how is the essence of our faith is going to move us? What are we going to do when the things that we have accumulated, the things that we love so much in the world, are no longer principal things for us? Let's say that those things evaporate, they get destroyed in some way. You have to get rid of them, or you're taken away from those things and wasn't able to get back in time to retrieve those things. How will we measure up in the world with ourselves without the attachment of things associated to us? These are questions we ask ourselves, metaphysical questions like, what is the real keynote of our lives? What allows us to get out of bed? What allows us to sleep peacefully at night? What allows us to manifest, right? So many different challenges, manifest our lives through these different challenges in the world. How are we able to do these things? How are we able to connect ourselves, with the world of things and not ourselves with who we are? The fate of who we are is the consequences of who we are. Yeah, clearly. And I guess my has gone up.
Hey,
How is it going, Maya? How you been?
I'm getting your sound.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. I'm here. I'm here in the land,
I see, I see.
Yeah, I'm out here. Um, my topic is fall king, now you get back up king. And it's not just men, it's a universal concept. on the concept of falling that has actually just been stomped in the mud in this society. You know, and this rim, I call it this rim, this hemisphere, whatever you want to call it, they have taken the concept of falling and made a despicable thing in the world, right? And when we look into the world, if you and I right now was to go into the Bible, we would see many passages where men and women fell and then rose to new heights, and the Most High forgave them for falling and rising. But man does not forgive man for falling,
Right.
right? We
So
have a,
it
yeah,
sounds it sounds like the key area or element is forgiveness,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. The key elements forgiveness, and that forgiveness actually resides externally and externally.
Well, I would argue that it's an internal thing, right? Because
It
if you
is.
forgive yourself, then how do you begin to forgive others?
Yeah, you have to start forgiving yourself, and sometimes there is a polar opposite where you'll start forgiving others, and then you'll get to the space of forgiving yourself. Sometimes that polar opposite does exist, but the essential aspect of it, as you was talking about, is for it to come from within. And as you actually heal yourself, it's like a saying that Maya Angelou stated, and I posted the other day. Maya Angelou stated that when you heal yourself, when you get into the process of healing yourself, go out and heal others,
Right. So
right?
that's more of don't keep your blessings to yourself, share it with others, right? And so it's funny you say that because I mean this morning during my church service, there was a question of what are you letting go of, right? And then there was a follow up like, well, if you're letting go of what you're letting go of, why are you dwelling on it?
Hmm.
Have you
Yeah,
truly let it go?
yeah. How did you? Yeah. So for instance, a scenario. Let's say that you and I we went to this pond, and we was like, we pick up these two rocks, and we're like, yo, we love these rocks. These rocks are so beautiful, right? Well, we like, well, we here to play skip the rocks, skip the rocks on the water. So we have to release this rock. Or we throw this rock into the pond, it would probably be impossible to retrieve it, right? It would probably be impossible for us to actually go in and find that one particular rock. Like I think that's how I look and things of that nature. We may find a rock that may be similar, but it might not be the same rock,
Right.
right? Unless we put all type of signatures and all type of marks on it to determine that that's going to be the rock. But if we throw it in a space where we cannot retrieve it, and that's also with our burdens, right? With
That's setting high
all,
expectations.
yeah, that's right. Because yeah, I mean, if you can throw things away physically, which is all right. So when you look at it on a metaphysical level, we can take physical things like this pen, we can throw it away, right, with no consequence. We might, I don't like this pen no more. The pen might have died or whatever, and you just throw it away. And you don't care about it. You don't go back looking for the pen. But when we going through life and things attach themselves to us, all different types of harm, situation, experiences, we have a tendency of holding on to those things and never releasing those things. And even when we say, look, we threw those things away, we only throw them away in the backyard. We don't go to the pond. We don't go to the ocean and throw those things away so we can never retrieve them again. We throw them away in a space so we can always go back to them like a comfort food, right? When we need to actually start feeling alive, or you know when we want to punish ourselves and things of that nature, right? On a psychological, subconscious level, we do a lot of abuse against ourselves because we don't understand the fate of who we are is about moving things away from us, releasing ourselves from things because we're born in a free spirit. We're born without all these things, right? It takes me a couple of months before I start understanding what this lady or man that brought me to the world is talking about, right? I don't know what they talk about. I'm in my own little space. I'm saying, just give me some milk. You know what I'm saying? Change me up, clean me up, and leave me alone, bro. Like, and let me go to sleep. Like, I'm not even trying to get involved with what y'all got going on here. I'm in my own element. When I come into a space of consciousness, a space of awareness, right? Now you start implementing things in me. Now you start hitting me with all type of value systems, belief systems, morals and principles, right? You start telling me do's and don'ts. You start telling me like this person, but dislike this person, like this race, but dislike this race, like this culture, but like this religion, but just like this religion. You
It's from
start.
being conditioned. So
That's right. You start.
there's two things that stand out for me about what you were saying. The first thing is not releasing, right? And holding on. I think you referenced the pen, um, and that it's not working anymore. And I think so. The two things that me was to truly release what it is that you're holding on to. But another thing that showed up for me was you throwing the pen away to me was wasteful, right? So we waste
Mm,
time, we waste energy, we don't value the pen.
that's correct.
The
That's
pen
right.
can be reused. The pen can be the ink can be replaced. So instead of throwing away the plastic
Oh,
that cannot be biodegradable, there's ways to cherish this pen and to keep the pen living at at its
for
potential.
life, for
Right,
life,
right.
right?
So
Because the the body of the pen is not writing; it's the ink.
it's the ink, right? So if we look at that concept and we talk about how wasteful we are, right, as people, and how we don't value the little things in life, that's where a lot of the problems to me occur. But I think what from how you were explaining how we come into this world and how things are instilled in us, to me those are conditions, right? Those
They
are
are conditions.
in which technically it's gonna no matter what. And I think this is one of the things that I wrote a paper on recently in school is
Hmm.
how the food that we eat, how our parents speak to us, um, and the environment that we live in will determine our health outcomes in our future, right? It'll determine whether or not we're successful. It determines whether or not we're mentally stable. These things that we're not asked to be brought into are the things that affect us in our later years. And so, I mean, I would say this, right? Growing up in New York wasn't easy. My parents wasn't offered the tools to do what it is that they needed to do.
Hmm.
So, and I think what I'm trying to get at is instead of me being angry with those who didn't have, right? I had to, like you said, fall, right? I had to fall on my own to be able to one acknowledge, wait, I fell, why I fell, and what can I do not to make sure that that I fall again, or that if I do fall again, I'm prepared, right? Um, no one's going to prepare you for crisis. No one's going to prepare you for life events, but at least that you take whatever experience that you've had in the past and whatever options or obstacles you took to set corrections, that you remind yourself, hey, look, I've been through this. These are the things that I can do to make sure that that doesn't happen again.
Hmm.
So it's really it's a choice, right? That you choose whether or not you get to be angry. You choose whether or not you're truly releasing, and you choose whether or not how you want to move forward. If you want to repeat the same actions.
Yeah, yeah. You have you is that you have abilities, right, in this world where we can navigate around many different things. We're one of the many creatures, one of some of the basic species that's on this plane, on this particular plane here, that's able to have cognitive thinking, right? That's able to have willful thinking, that's able to process our thinking, compartmentalize our thinkings and things of that nature, and even take the thinking and basically conceptualize it on a piece of paper, put it into a PowerPoint, write an article on it, right? These are the things that we're able to do because of the things that we're going through. And through what they will call the fall, what I would not call a fall is most of the time I would actually call a renewal process, but they will call it a fall because a fall is degrading, right? It's easy to tell a population to look at a concept as to fall as to renew. If they tell you to, if they look at the concept of fall, there's nothing beautiful in a fall. There's nothing, when you go look in a dictionary, there's nothing beautiful that's associated to
Who's
fall.
to say that?
No, according to the concepts on how they created the fall on this plane, the fall is created in a derogatory sense. It's not created in a space of enlightenment.
Right.
It's supposed to be in a space of enlightenment, but it's not viewed in a space of enlightenment according to society. So let's say, for instance, you was making six figures and you lost your job, right? The fall for you according to society is going to be despicable. You're going to lose your apartment, can't pay for the apartment no more. You have to downsize, right? You might wind up in a shelter, right? You're going to move around. You're going to try to borrow money from people and things of that nature. You might be successful. You may not. Some people might not even appreciate the fact that you fell and you came to them,
So
right?
I think it's more about the way that it's looked like it. So
The
I'm gonna
relationship.
agree to disagree, right? Because to me, the fall to me to a fall to me, I see it as a positive thing, right? We've all been to school, we've all failed classes, we've all retaken them. There's lessons learned in failure, right? Or falls.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when we take the negative concept out of it, right, and remove others' interpretation, it's just like the Bible. People throw, biblical scriptures at you as a form of judgment, and the Bible says don't do that, right? Like, so
And this
it's
is
about interpretation. Just
it's
because I
interpret.
read the same passage and you read the same passage, don't mean you get the same message out of it.
Yeah, we get different messages, right? And I just want to look at the premise. See, as we, like you and I, when we or individuals that actually go into higher learnings and choose to increase their knowledge and their awareness, right? The Most High says, "With much knowledge is much sorrow," right? So as you increase in the knowledge, you start to see certain things, and it's like, wow, bro, that's what really is. That's what it really is, right? And I only say that because my interactions with the fall, going into prisons, being a prisoner, coming back as a leader, and all the different manifestations that took place in my life. When anytime that I saw the fall, it was always placed in a negative light. As we start to grow and as we start to develop, we start using the fall in a different way. This is according to our maturity. This is according to our relationship that we actually start having with life. So we don't deny the fall, we embrace it. But according to the substances or basically the structure which this society has created, the fall is despicable. Just walk into the court system. Just go in there one day and sit in the courtroom and just listen to cases. And when
I
you come out there, you're going to be drained. You're going to be drained. You're going to be like, what is going on here? Why didn't they let that young man go? Why didn't they let that young woman go? Why they sent that person back to Rikers Island? That's a weird offense. Why did they even lock that person up for that? So the fall is not something like an ah moment, like, no, we use it when we come into a certain awareness as the ah moment. It could take us to the ah moment. But if this society used the fall as the ah moment, we wouldn't associate the fall the way we associate the fall. We wouldn't mistreat each other when we fall. We wouldn't deny each other our full strength and our full power when they fall. So when you fall, like say for instance, okay, if I have 10 friends and I've been here, and I fall amongst my 10 friends or supposed to be my 10 friends, I've seen none of my friends step out the way, right?
the only one
It's
is
because
staying.
they only want to stand, right? You don't want me to fall into you, right? But by me falling into you, right, I'm I be, I'm embraced now, and because I'm embraced, I can get that momentum again that I need, that new energy that just came to me, and I can move on. But what happens is that when we move out the way, when the fall comes, when our fall comes, there's no way for us to fall either. See, this is the strength of the fall. The fall is it's okay. It's like a parable. I know the Bible too, so it's like the parable. The Most High says, "A friend is born for the day of adversity." Right. So many people want to be friends with people. They run around with this nice little word called friends. They capitalize it and all these different things. But when the day of adversity comes, most of those people that call themselves friends disperse because they're not understanding that friendship is connected to adversity.
It sounds like opportunist, right?
That's
um,
right.
and I mean, I can agree with that, right? Like, and the reason why I say that is oftentimes what we tend to do is put ourselves in spaces, right? Or we end up in spaces not even knowing that we're there, right? And I'll use my life experience to
Mm-hmm.
you met me at one of my falls, right?
That's right.
And so that was a time in my life where I lost everything. I was homeless. I was trying to figure out how to I even had a job while I was in a shelter, right? I had to choose a job or education.
Mm.
And to me, that was the fork in the road that I had to just make the decision. I chose education. I left the job and I focused on my education. Now here I am. What? It's 2023, about
Mm-hmm.
7 years later, with 3 degrees of clinical license and working on a master's, right? And so for me, it's more about being able to step back and looking at where things are, right? Because my concept of falling from my childhood has always been to keep going, keep, like, for someone who's been taken away from their family at 8 years old and placed in foster care, the fall was done at 8 years old. It was 8
Mm-hmm.
years old. So for me, it was more about how do I create some type of changes in my life that allows me to move forward and not have to continue to fall. I think that that's the key element to it is, one, awareness, and,
Mm-hmm.
and the desire for change, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So let's say for instance that we'll play a nice game with ourselves. Let's say it's going to be January. All right. It's going to be January 8th, and it's going to be 2003. All right. And let's say that this year, this date was an amazing time for you, right? And let's say you go back to this place, you keep going back to this past to revisit this day, this time, because it was so amazing to you, right? When we really look at it on a basically metaphysical level, when we venture back and go back into that, even though we felt like it was an amazing time, that past that was there is already gone. In order for you to have that amazing time again, all those people that was associated to that time that you had such a great time also has to be there. So that means that you would have to send a memo out to all the people that was with you at that day, at that time, right, in that year, and say, "Hey guys, let's all revisit back that time mentally, so we can all have the same fun we had back in 2003, because 2023 is really not looking too good."
But why the same people have to be there? Why can't you have the same experience without the same people?
You see, look, see, you look, see.
Like,
So you really
why the
see,
same
look,
people got to be
you
there?
really, yeah, because that experience, and that's the funny thing. That whole experience that you had is all connected to the energy of that space and that time, and all the people that was associated to that space and that time, right? So if you take one person out, like say you say I don't like Michelle, and you leave Michelle home out of your vision, right? Michelle might have had the best energy that was in the room, but you wouldn't know it because she's not there. So when you go back, you be like, yo, this don't remind me of the same thing, what I experienced, because it's an element that's missing, right? And for us to have that true experience now, we have to have all those elements that was a part of that situation there with us at that particular day and time and year in order for us to go through
But
that same experience.
that's living in the past and not in the
And you
present.
can't and you can't do it. Basically, what I'm trying to show you is that it may be like a euphoric feeling to go back into the past and experience this thing. However, it's a delusion. It's an
Right.
optical illusion. It doesn't even exist,
Right.
right? You set yourself for failure because as soon as you come out of that, hey, look, I'm back, guys. I'm still 2023. What's going on, right? And now you have to deal with the reality all over again.
Right.
And it's like a stop and start, a stop and start, a stop and start on who you are, who you're supposed to become. I see even with my path, it's a fearful thing to become who you want to become because you were so attached to all these things that we have created for our becoming. So this world that we have accumulated all these things and we have made ourselves according to these things, right? We have made ourselves according to clothes, our hairstyle, what kind of job we got, how much money we got. We have made these things into us, right? And when we start becoming to our true selves, these things that we created, they all have to start disappearing, right? Because there's a new room that's open. There's a new room that you found that you have to open, and you have to go in that room. And all those things that you accumulated, they can't go in that room with you, right? This is a self-fulfilled prophecy. You have to do this alone and by yourself. And all those things you took to get to where you got to go,
Can't go
it's not
with
going
you.
to help you get there. And you know what makes me see this in real time, and I didn't see it until now, according to the scenario we're talking about, is when you go in the scriptures and you talk and you go where Christ is talking to the rich man, and the rich man said, who are you? And Christ said, who are you? The rich man said, well, I'm such and such. And he said, and then he started telling Christ, he gave Christ his resume, basically his elevator pitch. That was his elevator pitch about all the things he'd done. I fed the homeless, I've done this, I've done that, I've been righteous, I raised my children, this and that. So Christ analyzed his spirit, and Christ said, yo, bro, you're right. You have done all those things. He said, but it's one more thing that I need you to do, and then you can come and follow me. And rich man was like, what's up? He said, well, I want you to get rid of all your riches and follow me.
Right.
And the rich man said, nah, bro, I'm not doing none of that. And then Christ was like, then you are not worthy, right? See, the reason why he's telling me he's not worthy because he have accumulated all those things to get to where he had to go, which was who? Christ. He did all those things in his life to get to Christ. All those things in his life to get to Christ. And when he got to Christ, he denied Christ for money.
For monetary things.
That's right. So that other portal, see, that other portal I'm telling you about, right, is not associated to any of those things that you accumulated. It's a renewal. You're going through a renewal process. And as you're going through a renewal process, all those things you accumulated, your little boyfriend, your husband, your wife, your children, your clothes, your money, your cars, all this stuff, you can't take none of that with you, right? This is a new beginning for you when you start tapping in, and it scares you. You're so scared that you're saying, yo, I don't even know what I'm going to do. Should I really do this? Right? I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose what I obtain. I don't want to lose my friends and my family, right? I remember when I first got into religion, right, when I was younger, and people cursed me and said things to me, despicable things. I had somebody come to me one time and say, I see you on this religious path or whatever. We liked you better when you was a criminal,
Well, people
right?
don't like change.
See, so when you get into these bubbles, see, it's not only you get into your bubble, but then you got to contend with the bubbles of the world. There's a lot of bubbles that's out there that you got to deal with, right? You got to navigate through a lot of systems that's out there, people, places, and things that you don't even know about before you even go on your path. See, when you go on a new path, all the things that the old path you was dealing with, those things are basically going to be washed away. You're going to be experiencing new things, going into new people, new situations, and it's going to test your resolve. It's going to see if you're willing to fall and get back up and do the work you're supposed to do. It's going to see if you're willing to fall and actually, understand the fall and then say, you know what, I have a duty, I have a purpose, I have a responsibility, and let me get to what I have to do.
But that
Right?
happens even when someone is achieving success, right? Like, so for
That's
instance, take a
that's right.
person, and it's not even from the fall aspect, right? Take a person. who decided to leave the hood, right? Or just to leave the hood stuff, stop hanging out in the streets or whatever, and just decide to go to school. Once they go to school, the people that was hanging out with them ain't gonna want to chill with them no more because they've elevated, right? The lifestyle that they used to live is not the lifestyle that they're living now. And these are things that I'm experiencing now every degree that I
Yeah,
get.
that's why.
Every degree I
Because
get, the more people keep falling off, out of my,
because
my
it's
way.
a you're walking through portals. You don't realize that you're walking through portals, but you're walking through portals in your life, and the things that you have accumulated before you walk into this new portal may not be in association or compatible with the new direction that you're going into, right? What we do as people, anything that we accumulate in the world, we try to possess it, regardless of what it may be, our past, our present moments, um, the things that we find, right? The people that we associate ourselves to, the children that we have in land. We come to a space of possession. We want to own it, right? And as soon as you possess something, it also possesses you, right? And like some of my friends when I was growing up, they would sacrifice their lives for a chain and things of that nature. And I'm like, well, you could go buy another chain, right? And they don't see it like that. I'm like, nah, nobody taking nothing from me. It's the association to these things where you take these things and you put them all the way above your life, all the way. They are so high above your life that you couldn't reach them if you wanted to.
Well, it sounds like that there's a reason for holding, right, an item at high value, right? Just by you saying that in itself, I don't even have to know the person. I can already understand that this person has nothing. They come from nothing, right? And so the one thing that they value is where they put is the something that they have. And I think that when we understand that concept that we all come from nothing. We all came here with nothing. We have to work to get that something.
Some of
And
us don't.
well,
They got a lot of inheritances
and
in the land
a lot
too.
of us are spoiled and was
Yeah,
with
some of us come through inheritance. We got see you and I came in the land around the same generations, right? And when you and I came to the land in the generation that we came into, many generations have existed before us. So there are many things that have already been established, certain names, certain systems, and things of that nature that we had nothing to do with. We didn't vote on it. We wasn't here to vote on it. We didn't know about it. We're brand new in the land. So these things are already, you got people, places, and things already established. So now we have to contend with things that's already established. It ain't like we all starting fresh. And that's one of the things that is a misconception. They try to say that everybody start fresh. We're not all starting fresh because some people are coming into systems and some people are coming into healthy systems. Some people are not coming into healthy systems, and we have structures that have been taking place, like prison system structures and homeless system structures, the domestic violence system structures that have taken place all over the world that you and I had nothing to do with. We had nothing to do with. We didn't design it. We didn't help them design it. They didn't ask our opinion about it.
the
Like these
hospital that
things.
we was brought into.
See, see. So these things are there. So these things are there, and they really have nothing to do with us, right? And then we want to attaching ourselves to these things or get attached by one of these things for any particular reason. We might lose a housing, or we might go through this situation, whatever, and we're find ourselves contending with systems that we cannot defeat.
Right,
With systems that's above and beyond who we are because they was here before we was even created,
right.
right? We find ourselves in spaces where we trying to change people, places, and things, especially people, right? When we have not even mastered who we are, but we want to go in the land and change other people into who we want them to be when we don't even know who we really are. So how are they going to change who we want them to be when we don't even know who we are,
But not
right? It's a
a lot
it's
of
an
people walk
element.
around not knowing who they are. That
A lot
that's
of us.
that to
That's
me is
like
the key.
yeah. See, and we all on different paths, right? And
Hmm.
that's what amazing thing that I can meet you today, I can meet this person tomorrow, and we can date and we can do whatever it is, but we're all on different paths, right? When I believe that, and I've seen this a lot, in a lot of spaces I've been in, that people will come in people's lives and rob them of their path.
Yeah.
They will rob them of their identity. They'll rob them of their hopes and their faith and their dreams and their visions. And they'll do nothing with the energy they took from that person. They actually turn around and be a slouch themselves. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? They won't do anything great for their lives and they took a greatness from that person's life just so that person won't have that greatness. And
You
so
know,
when we go,
it's so weird you say that because I look at people today so different, or I just look at how sharing time and space with other people differently today, right? And what I've realized is, this is a perfect example. It's about mediocrity. It's living in abundance, right? And choosing abundance versus living in mediocrity. And this is the
mm-hmm,
things concept that I deal with every day. It's like before having the things that I had today, I didn't care. To me everything was mediocre. I was choosing mediocrity, right? um and then today, as I started elevating, everything for me now is abundance. And
mm,
i'll take a, a, a I'll take a minute to explain it in a way where I had this person that I'm talking to, and they needed some help or whatever. And so I helped them out with, and I'm type of person, I like to eat and do whatever, so I'm on the phone with them after everything is said and done. And they're like, oh well, that's expensive and that's expensive, and this is a common thing with them. Like everything that I'm saying is there, and so for me it's more so projection, right? It's expensive to you doesn't mean that it's expensive to me.
that's correct. That's
you
correct.
know and
Yeah.
because you choose to live in mediocrity doesn't mean that I'm going to choose to live in mediocrity. And so that's the problem with what I face with people, is that they see you living, they see you choosing abundance, and they're upset because they're living in mediocrity, and they will choose to bring you down with them. And it's
Mm-hmm.
and instead of elevating the next, my whole thing is if I get to eat, then the next person gets to eat. A lot of people don't have that concept.
And that's one of the things that we're lacking in this society. It's kind of like, if you find a fruit tree, you think it's yours, but it's not. That fruit tree was there before you found it. You didn't find nothing. You know what I'm saying? You was walking across this path, and that's how you discovered it. It's not yours, right? And our knowledge, our wisdom, our understanding is not even ours either. We didn't go nowhere and purchase the knowledge, wisdom, understanding. We didn't go nowhere. There's not a store that we went to and bought this, right? It was given to us as a gift. Even though we may place ourselves in a room, we may place ourselves in certain spaces to obtain these gifts, it was still a gift,
Yeah.
right? We don't own none of these things, right? When we were talking about connecting with other people, right? There's an infrastructure now that an invisible infrastructure that takes place when we break through certain economical barriers. And when we break through certain economical barriers, we forget the lower vibrations that we just escaped from, right? These are lower vibrations, and we move into a higher vibration, right? And these lower vibrations, they're still here, right? And you're going to feel those lower vibrations throughout your success, throughout your drive, right? You're never going to be able to correct this concept of a lower vibration because the way that this society is constructed mainly according to the lower vibration. The higher vibration is the mirage. It doesn't even exist. It's the lower vibrations that move everything. They're the workers. They're the drivers. They're the industrial. They move every single thing. They're the doctors and the nurses and the teachers and the lawyers. These are the lower vibration that we talk about, right? And when we don't really see the connection between our vibration and their vibration, right, and how to try to lift that vibration up, then we actually become overwhelmed and burdened by those people that's in our space that's not matching our vibration, right? And if we don't want to increase those that come in our space to our vibration, we need to leave those energies alone,
Right.
right? Because there's no reason for people to have energies around them that they don't want to increase to a higher level. So this is when you start seeing friends and people that become rich, they start disappearing and stuff like that, or if they friends, they're disappearing because they don't want to help you get to the higher vibration. This
Yeah.
is the reason why they're disappearing, right? This is something that the Most High says, and this is coming straight from scriptures. This the Most High says this. He said, "In the day of your wealth, do not forget thy friends." That's it, bro. Right? It's right here in Proverbs. In the day of your wealth, do not forget thy friends. He says this because in the day of your wealth, it's going to take you to a higher vibration. You say that these are your friends. You are responsible for bringing your friends up to a higher vibration because you stated that that was your friend. No one else. The Most High didn't come down and say, "Hey, Maya, that girl you're hanging out with, I want you to be her friend. I want y'all to be friends, bro." No, he didn't do that. You would sit at the bus stop, you turn around and say, "How you doing?" And y'all started talking. And next thing you know, y'all was partying, y'all was doing stuff. And you also, "Oh, that's my friend, that's my bestie," and all other different things that the people are using. And then as soon as you come into a day of, well, she got to get hers like I got mine. What are you talking about? What is going on here? Right? And this is when you start breaking certain structures that held you in times of your life that you forgot. That time when you had a breakup, you went to your friend when you was gonna jump off the roof. She talked you out of it. When you was gonna drink yourself under the table or get into a strange man car from a club and she grabbed me and said, "Don't go there. You might be a serial killer," right? You forget about all those things, right? When you become a level of success. You forget when you was homeless and she's like, "Yo, you can sleep on my couch." And you could bring your daughter too, you know what I'm saying? You forget these different dynamics when you become the day in your wealth because as the Most High say, in a day of good, you forget the bad, and a day of bad, you forget the good.
Well, I mean, I think everyone makes an attempt to at least leave their past behind, right? Um, and I get it that some people just don't. They either look down at their past or whatever. But if you look if you look at where you are today, you didn't get there without that past, right? You didn't. So for me, there's no way to not look back. It's a simple choice of choosing not to understand. Oh well, this is how I got here,
Yeah.
and
You can strive in a way to mentally train yourself to stop looking back.
yes,
Right? You can start practicing practices that can help you to stop looking back, even from the day before. Just that intense. Like you just want to stop it from the day before to move on into your new days and your new life, right? Because these days that we move past, those days that we have moved past already, we can find principles in them that can actually allow us to do good to ourselves and others. That's amazing. But if those principles are harmful in any way towards ourselves and others, we need to leave those principles where they're at. We don't need to bring those principles to our present day, our present moment, our present time, and say, "You know what? I feel so depressed right now. Anxiety is just killing me." We don't need to do that, right? We need to keep ourselves healthy in a space where we don't move these things as harmful into our present day lives,
but do you
right?
not notice this shift and change from growing up here or growing up until now? We're not the same people.
We never were.
Well, whatever from and when I'm talking about like 80s, 90s, like we're not the same people. Technology has
We,
changed the way that we socialize so much that we don't
we
even know how to carry a
that's right.
conversation.
Sensation. We have changed. We are evolving. We
Like,
have changed. We have evolving, man. And
but
my
it's doing a disservice to us because now you have people just acronyming you to death, right? Like
yeah, I know.
asking questions you really don't care about, but just asking questions because it starts a conversation. And for me, like one of the major things I can't stand it, I don't like people asking me what I'm doing.
Hmm.
I particularly, I don't,
Uh-oh.
it's not that I don't like someone to ask me how I'm doing.
Yeah.
I prefer you to say, hey, what's going on with you today? Not how you
Mm.
doing, because technically you really don't give a. about how we
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess people look at that like that too,
you know what
right?
I mean? Like you really don't care about how
Yeah,
you're
it's like
just
how the
saying it just to
society
be in
is. Yeah.
conversation. You know what I mean? And if you give me an opportunity, oh,
Yeah.
give me an open, like how we do in
Mhm.
clinical services, right? Give me an open-ended question and allow me to tell you what I want to tell you, as opposed to it being some sort of interrogation. Now,
Yeah,
you know what I
we
mean?
gotta.
And
Yeah,
so
I
for
got
me,
you.
it's more so about developing,
Mhm.
you know, developing relationships with people that is not like structured
Yeah,
with
that's not
what you doing,
conducive.
how you
That's right.
doing,
Yeah,
what you
you
got,
got to be
what's
conducive.
provided for the day. Like
Yeah, it's
you
true.
gotta, and a lot of that
But
comes from us as people of color. We're allowing this, right? And it goes back to the whole mediocrity conversation.
hmm
If I
so
allow you
this is
here and I'm answering you all these questions. Oh, perfect example. Oh, how you doing? I like to get to know you. You like to get to know me, but all you doing is asking me a series of questions.
okay.
Here we
Yep.
are with the interrogation, and it's like you piqued
Oh,
the interest to get to know me. I don't really care about knowing you, but here you are drilling me with questions, and what you fail to realize is you found the interest in this person. You asked the person to provide you with, to getting to know, but you didn't give them an option to get to know you and find the same interest in you.
yeah. Well, Maya, it was a pleasure, right? The show is coming to an end, and it was a great conversation. Definitely stay in connection with each other. We can actually, have our own podcast. Let me know, what you might want to talk about and stuff like that. But this has been a great segment,
Yes, thanks for having me.
and yeah, definitely, I appreciate it. Yeah, please subscribe, to my YouTube page, on the data. And also, I'm also on different podcast channels like Google, Amazon, All Hot Radio, and things of that nature. So this just allows me to continue my relationships with people and actually build fundamental truths about who we are and what we can have out of life regardless of all the different challenges that we face. As people, we're going to go through different levels of change because we don't know what levels of change that we need to be at. And we're always going to experiment with new life and to try to get ourselves to a new level because no one knows this life the way they say they know it. We're all trying to figure this thing out and find a balance for who we are so we can channel the best entity of who we are into the world and not feel deprived of our lives, like not wake up stressful, depressed, full of anxiety, or misleading who we are against who we are because whatever message that we give ourselves, those messages is what actually resonate, against us or
Right.
for us. Right. So, it's really important to change our relationships with who we are, about who we are, and start using different concepts, empowering concepts to determine the situations that we may find ourselves in. Instead of using things like stress, anxiety, depression, you may use words like "I feel this." You may use words like, "This seems a little challenging today," or you may look at something and say, "I might have to put a little more emphasis into what this is," right? But at the end of the day, not creating definitives against yourself that you cannot move past. You not create absolutes against yourself that's going to hurt you, and when it's time for you to get up and do the things you got to do, you have to get past that absolute to get back to who you're supposed to be.
That's right. Affirmations,
Affirmations
positive
all
affirmations.
day. Yeah, all day, every day, even towards others, towards yourself. You know, the vibrations of who we are is not always about who we are, it's also about the energies that exist around us as well, right? We have to find ourselves in cultivating spaces, people, places, and things that seek for our enlightenment, that seek for our increase, right? That will cry and mourn for us for 7 days and fast if we die or get sick and tell the Most High to make sure that we're blessed and we can move on and transition in good faith and hope and in peace,
Right.
right? When we don't have this type of love and vibration in the world, we lose out on the essence of who we really are. We are that budding fruit. We're those budding flowers. We the sea, the ocean. We all those things. We're a manifestation of life. And when we don't see our lives in true form and in truth, and when we don't see that we have the right to go through challenges and don't be denied who we really are because we face challenges, we be able to reach higher plateaus because we now identify ourselves according to our challenges, our past, our failures, or our success. We're here because we're here, and that's why we're here. These things that you have here, these things are here as well. But these things that you have here have nothing to do with me unless I go and make them a manifestation of myself. I can be at peace without all those things, right? I
Should
don't
be
need these
without
things.
all those things.
That's right. So when we're looking at this life, right, we don't want to, at the end of the day, attach ourselves to nothing, right? A form, a pen, nothing may what it be. All these things that we attach ourselves to, someone else made in fate. According to their fate, they made it, which means that the thing they created cannot become our fate because the thing that they created is their fate.
I'll say it this way. You come into this world by yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those things that nothing that you attain from the time that you were born to the time that you are going to be placed to rest, it's going to go with you.
And with that, we're gonna close out. And it was a blessing, guys. It was a blessing talking to you, Maya. Let's do it again. And let's stay connected. And I'm out here, guys. Y'all want to reach out to me? You want to connect? Want to talk? That's where we at. Have a great day, guys. Take care. Take care.